You're listening to The Power Project, and I'm your host, Brandy Vogt. It is my goal each week to empower and inspire you with stories of women that are leading purpose-filled lives and owning their God-given power. Now, we're going to switch it up a bit today. I do not have a guest on the show today, but instead, I'm going to do some personal coaching with you guys, my listeners. I've had several requests for this as I do speaking engagements, trainings, and personal coachings. And my goal all along was for this show to be a mix of empowerment coaching as well as spotlights. So what better time than now to get that ball rolling? Let's do this. So as most of you know, I am a business owner, both in the traditional and non-traditional versions, as well as an advocate in the fight against human trafficking. So I work really closely with multiple nonprofit organizations, locally and internationally as well. My non-traditional business is a skincare franchise that I own, and it spans across 17 states in the US, as well as 7 states in Australia. And it seems to me that whether I am looking at my business or the nonprofit organizations that I work with, people are always trying to put their finger on the key to success. What did that person do to excel in the company? And what did that person do to grow such an amazing organization? And I get asked this question so often. I have people that come to me that say, what do you think is the one thing? Like, who is good at this business that you do? Or how does that guy raise so much money for his organization? And as I was building my team out in the beginning, I really started looking into this and researching this because I quickly found that there was no one mold that successful consultants in my business had. They didn't look the same. They didn't speak the same. They didn't wear the same clothes. I had this wide variety of people in my organization, and some were young and very successful, and some were older and very successful. I have a gal that's just as country as they come in Australia that is a strong leader, and it's never the ones that you really expect to be successful in this business. In my business, we build out sales teams and we create leaders. And so I started looking into what is the trait that that person has that makes them a leader. Are they a natural born leader? Did they learn this? How did they get to where they are? And now I see it applying in the nonprofit world as well. But what I found was that it had nothing to do with their training or their background. It didn't have to do with their education. They didn't have to have a sales experience in the background. They didn't have to have marketing experience. They didn't have to know how to use social media. And the further that I dug into this, I thought, it's grit. It's the fact that the one factor that every person has, whether it's in business or nonprofit organizations or ministry or sharing your story with the world, whatever it is, that one common denominator is grit. Who is determined enough to get to where they need to be? Who has such a strong belief in what they are doing or promoting or growing or selling? Who has such a strong belief in that they don't stop until they reach the top? It's the gritty people. And the more that I started looking into this, I thought, well, I need a really cool acronym for grit so that I can do a training on my team about what it takes to be successful, what it looks like to be promoted within our company, what it looks like to get to the top 2%, the top 1%. Like, what does it take? And I quickly found that someone had already come up with a really fantastic acronym that I just decided to steal. So grit in my business life, in my nonprofit life, in my personal life, in my marriage, you guys, the marriages that stay together, that endure the test of time, that make it through the hard times, are the ones that have grit in the midst of them. Because it's really easy to throw your hands up and say, I give up. But it takes a lot to say, I'm going to be gritty, dig my teeth in, and not let go and not give up. So whatever area this grit applies to you, maybe you're fighting cancer right now. Maybe you are fighting an illness right now. You're going to have grit. Maybe you are facing an unstable time in relationships. Maybe you're having a hard time seeing the forest through the trees. It's going to take some grit to get through it, but you can do it, I promise. And I don't think it's a natural born trait. I think it's actually a mindset. And I think that we can train ourselves to have grit. I think that we can train ourselves to have guts, resilience, initiative, and tenacity. But right now, today, before you go any further, decide that you can have grit. If you're not going to commit to that, you might as well stop listening. But you can do it. It's just about training your mindset. And I'm going to walk you through some actionable ways that you can have grit in your life, and you can apply grit to growing your nonprofit, to building your sales team, to making it through your marriage alive, to raising your children, to grow. Maybe you're a church planner, growing your church. Because you see, none of these things are easy. All of these things take you getting your mind right. So it's going to start with guts. And guts is your courage, your boldness, your ability to go forth with a goosebump, like that Robert De Niro, was that who it was in that movie that was always saying woo-ha? It's your ability to step forward. It doesn't mean you're not scared. It doesn't mean you don't have fear. It means that you are willing to step through that fear and embrace the courage to do the thing scared. And then from guts, you're going to move over to resilience. Think about that 90s or 2000 song. I don't even remember when it came out, but it was I can't remember the name of the band. It was something crazy, but it was the tub thumping song, like Chumbawamba or something like that. And he talks about, I get knocked down, but I get up again. That's resilience. Resilience doesn't mean that you don't fall. It doesn't mean that you don't take a step back. It doesn't mean that everything works out perfectly. It's how you bounce back, how you stay level through the good times, and how you get right back up in the bad times. It's the whole I fell off the horse, but I got back on. It's the ability to continue getting back up, because you guys, life is going to knock you down. The enemy is going to attack you. And when you step out in boldness and you embrace your courage and you have the guts to do whatever it is that God's calling you to do in life, you're going to get knocked down. The enemy is going to attack you. People are going to attack you. People don't want you to succeed, because typically your friends and family think that if you're growing, they fall into their own fear trap where they're scared that it means that you might outgrow them. So you're going to get knocked down. You're going to get pushed back. You're going to take a step backwards. But the resilience, the ability to stand back up and take a step is what you have to have in your mind. My favorite scripture, literally one of my favorite scriptures of all time, it's Micah 7:8. And it says, rejoice not over me, O my enemy. When I fall, I shall arise. When I sit in darkness, the Lord will be a light to me. I read that at church camp somewhere around the age of about 11. And I thought it was so good. And I don't know why at the time, because I had never really experienced failure. But I just thought it was great. And I thought, this is a scripture I'm going to always remember. And I have throughout my life. And when I feel so sad or upset or depressed or something didn't work out and I feel frustrated and I feel like I'm banging my head against a wall, I just go back and say, rejoice not over me, O my enemy, because when I fall, I shall arise. And from there, you're going to go over to initiative. So initiative is going to be, loosely translated, it's the ability to think and act on your own. But what it really means in life is taking the initiative to step out in courage and boldness, taking the initiative to be resilient, to get back up. It's taking the initiative to chart your own course. You see, it comes down to, are you a sheep that follows the herd and waits for the shepherd to lead you? Are you a lion that takes the initiative to grow without waiting on someone else? Because a lion charts his own path. A lion's not going to follow the herd. A lion's going to chart his own course and determine his own destiny. But sheep, it's really easy to go along with the herd. It's really easy to go where they're going. There's no real pushback when you're following the herd. You don't have to have the guts to take a course that you haven't been on before, because there's a bunch of other sheep in front of you and there's a shepherd in front of them. But wouldn't you like the ability to say, I'm being called over here. I'm charting my own course. I'm taking the initiative. I'm taking the initiative to start a business. I'm taking the initiative to start a nonprofit. I'm taking the initiative to speak out against injustices that I see in the world. It's not easy, but it's so rewarding. And it's going to require tenacity. In my mind, tenacity is the number one element of grit. Single-handedly, the most important element. Yes, you're going to need guts. Yes, you're going to need resilience. Yes, initiative. But tenacity is kind of the all-encompassing idea of these. Think about it like you need to bite into a T-bone steak like a pit bull would, and don't let go. I know that when I was younger, I had an uncle with a pit bull, and he had this like pry bar stick, because if a pit bull bites down, his jaws are so strong that you can't pry them open. And so I tend to think of things in life like that. I'm going to sink my teeth into it, and I'm not going to let go, and I'm not going to quit. You see, a tenacious person doesn't hope that something will work out. That person knows that they won't stop until it does. A tenacious person doesn't start a business and say, well, we'll see what it does. They don't start a nonprofit and say, man, I hope we can make it. A tenacious person knows that no matter what, this business will succeed. And no matter what, this organization will succeed. A tenacious person takes the actions daily to ensure that they are putting their all into that business, into that nonprofit, into that church, into that story that they're sharing with the world. And they don't quit until it's done. They didn't quit when they wanted to give up. And you guys can be sitting at home and you can be thinking, well, that's all great. That's great, that she's telling me that we need to have grit, but she doesn't know what I've been through. She doesn't know what obstacles I'm facing. But I really honestly created this podcast because I wanted to show people what is possible. I had experienced limited mindset with various people in my life, and I thought it was so sad that they didn't think they could do it. You see, I grew up with parents that told me that I could do anything I set my mind to. But I realized that not everyone had that. Not everyone had a support system telling them that they can do it. And I thought, wouldn't it be great if we could bring women onto this show and show people that they can do it. These people are doing it. Nothing is special about the people that are doing these things other than they have grit. They have decided that they are going to bite into the T-bone steak that is life and not let go. And so while you're sitting at home right now, I don't want you just to listen to this and not apply it to your life. I've heard people tell me that I'm inspiring to them and they love listening to the podcast. But my question to you is, what ownership are you taking in your life and applying this to your everyday life? Because that is my end goal. Not to inspire you, but to encourage you to take action. And while you're looking at someone else's success, whether it be someone that's in business that you admire, someone that started a company that you admire, someone that's doing a nonprofit, that's doing a social commerce, someone that is doing whatever it is that you want to do, don't envy their success without questioning their tribulations. What grit got them through the trying times? Because you see, you didn't see those people when they wanted to quit and give up. You didn't see those people when they were face first on their bed, feeling lost and feeling completely set back. You didn't see those people when they had to crawl through the muddy trenches to get to where they are. Because no one has just experienced success in whatever aspect of life they're in overnight without putting the hard work in. You didn't see me when I felt like I was alone on an island. You didn't see me when I felt so completely misunderstood. And you didn't see me when I decided that I had a message to share, regardless of what people had to say about it, and I was just going to proceed. I was going to grab the guts, the resilience, the initiative, and the tenacity that it took to follow God's call on my life. And hard work, you guys, it's synonymous with grit. Digging in and working your tail off is what's going to lead you to success. Participation trophies haven't gained anyone success ever. That's a whole different subject for a whole different day. But not everyone that shows up is going to make it to the top. But those that show up well and continue showing up over and over and over again, regardless of how they feel, they're going to get there. I have a friend that is wildly successful in his nonprofit organization. He brings in probably around 3 times as much revenue and support for his organization than several other organizations that I work for or work with. And I have people a lot that are asking me, like, what has he done? What is he doing to be so successful in his organization? He's got national acclaim, and the governor's office, is on the phone with him constantly. And it comes down to the grit that he has. The fact that he gives his all to this organization. The fact that he stays in his office until 10 p.m. at night working and making phone calls and showing up at people's front doors. You see, the thing about grit is that you have to believe so great in whatever it is that you're doing, whether it is business, nonprofits, ministry, sharing a story. You have to believe so great in what it is that you're doing that you're committed to making it happen. So just for 1 second, if you are a nonprofit out there and you're growing and you're looking to expand and you're fundraising, I hear so often from the nonprofit sector that the people hate asking for money. They don't want to ask for money. But if you truly believe in what you're doing, if you truly believe that you're changing people's lives, if you truly believe that you are doing God's work that He's asked you to do in life, then you should not be concerned at all about asking someone for money to support that cause. So right now, if you're a nonprofit founder, volunteer, staff member, I'm going to tell you right now, it's okay. Go ask people for money. Go ask people to support your cause because you know it, you believe in it, you know it's a good thing. Your belief has to be greater than your fear. Exact same thing with my business or with sales, where people will say, well, I'm scared of public speaking. Okay. But do you have a message to share? Do you have something to tell people about? Then your belief and your message has to be greater than whatever your fear is. Whatever it is, if you believe in what you are doing, then go do it, and go do it well. So what can you do today to accomplish your dreams? What can you do right now to accomplish your goals? Because this all sounds great. I've told you, you need grit. But what can you do to actually accomplish the goals and put them into action? Because a dream without action is going to die. But in order to achieve that dream, you're going to have to put action in daily to accomplish it. What can you do right now to further your dreams? For starters, you're going to lose the safety net. Quit over preparing. You guys, I over prepared for months for this podcast. And you know what? When I finally just gave myself a deadline, which was, a week to 10 days after I decided this, I just had to go forth with it. It wasn't perfect. Like, I have not even gone back and listened to it because I'm fairly certain I don't want to hear the first episode. I don't know, you guys. Hopefully you can see that we've progressed with the podcast. But I just had to do it. I had to quit over preparing. I had to lose the safety net. And I just had to go out and do it. Scared, nervous, afraid of what people would think. And I had to be willing to fail. I had to know that it was okay. You see, like a failure for me, it doesn't stop me in my tracks. It just has me reassess what it is that I'm doing right and what it is that I've done wrong. So don't be afraid to fail forward. Know that that's okay. There would be no light without the presence of darkness. There would be no, our pastor talked about this one day, and there would be no hot without cold. You have to have the opposite of something in order for something to exist. There would be no success without the opposite of success. So fail forward, learn from your mistakes, correct the course, adjust what you need to. And you guys, I'm going to tell you right now, when I started this, I was so scared of what people would think of me. I was so scared of like my close network, the people who know me the best, my friends, my family. Like, I'm not worried about strangers. I could care less. And I have seen such an outpouring of love and support. And I want to read you one message that I received, just to let you know that while you're over preparing and while you're holding tight to your safety net, you may be missing out on the option to do whatever it is that God needs you to do and reach the people that He wants you to reach. So the message is, hey sister, you have been on my heart and in my mind for a while now. So I just wanted to drop a note and say I freaking love you and admire you beyond anything you can imagine. You are such an inspiration. It's hard to put yourself out there. What will people think of me? But you do it anyways without apology. That takes guts I cannot even imagine. I want to be like Brandy when I grew up. I've never been taught to pray for God to lead me. Thanks to you, I'm praying for my strengths to show themselves to me, for me to find my own path and my calling. I don't know what that looks like, but you inspire me to know it's not too late. You are also introducing us to some great women on your podcast, so thanks for that too. You are in my prayers as my longest friend, and this amazing inspiration and advocate you are today. May God continue to use you and your talents to further His kingdom. You guys, that is what grit looks like. It looks like taking those things, applying them to your life, and then letting God work through you. And I would have never been able to share that message that God wanted shared with my friend had I not been willing to lose the safety net and quit over preparing. And that brings me to number 4. So number 1 was lose the safety net. Number 2 was fail forward. Number 3 was be willing to have the opposite of success. And number 4 is shine the light on others. I'm not where I want to be in my journey yet or where I think that I'm going to end up on my journey, but it doesn't mean that I can't shine the light on other people that are further along on their journey. I can support them. I can build them up. Whatever it is that applies to my purpose, I can continue to support that. It's not going to take away from my light if I shine the light on someone else, if I give them a pat on the back, if I give them a shout out. This is also how you're going to find your gritty tribe. Because you guys, God said, go be a light into the world. He didn't mean one giant spotlight. It's okay if there's a bunch of us holding flashlights. Build each other up. Spotlight them. Shine the light. So number 5, make small talk. Connect and find commonalities with people, not on social media, but in real, everyday life. Networking is going to be key to whatever it is that you are trying to grow, whether you're trying to fundraise or build a business or build a sales team or grow your network in order to share your message or your word. You need to get really good at interacting with people. I never know if someone that I meet needs something that I have to say, but I talk to everyone. I take a genuine interest in every single person that I come in contact with because that person might need skincare. That person might want to start a new business. That person might want to be involved in the fight against human trafficking. Or that person might be looking for a new church. And at the very least, that person might just need a friend. So start networking. Take a genuine interest in people. Number 6 is going to be bend like bamboo and be flexible. So rigid is going to break, you guys. We need to be flexible. We need to say that we may be going on a course in one direction, but God may have another plan for it. It may change. And we can't be so rigid that we're going to break. We have to be able to bend. I may have Thursdays as my days that I interview for podcast. But if I have someone that can only interview on a Tuesday, I need to be willing to bend and interview that person on a Tuesday. So that's also goes hand in hand with step 7. Step 7 is going to be embrace plan B. Because you guys, you might have one plan for your life and God might have a completely different one. Be willing and open to embracing that. Don't be so set in your ways that you're bound and determined you have to continue in one direction. You know, my friend's organization started out as a diabetes organization, but then God called her to the human trafficking cause. And she's had wild success with that organization because she was able to embrace that. On that same note, I never once said I want to grow up to own a skincare franchise. But that was the avenue that God had to lead me into all of these other doors opening, to encourage me to create this platform and to fund my passions and my purpose. Embrace plan B. And number 8, you guys, start. Just start. You can have all the grit in the world. You may be sitting at home right now and you may be thinking, I have guts, I have resilience, I have initiative, and I have tenacity. I have everything it takes to go start that business I want to start. I have everything it takes to go become an advocate for that nonprofit organization. I have everything it takes to go be involved in ministry. I have everything it takes to do whatever it is that God's calling you to do. But all of that is absolutely pointless if you don't start. Lose your safety net, fail forward, but start. Start here, start now. Okay, you guys, I hope that you enjoyed what you heard today. And as always, if you did, please go over to iTunes, subscribe, write a review, get crazy and cheer us on all forms of social media. And if you would like to hear in person from me a little more about grit, you can join me next Friday, the 16th, at the Women's Gathering. I will put the link in the show notes for you to purchase tickets. Also, as a gift to you guys, my listeners, for being incredible, I'm offering 3 personal coaching sessions for free. So whether you're looking to start a business, whether you're looking to get involved with a nonprofit, or maybe you're trying to figure out your brand or how to build a sales team, I'm going to offer you sessions for free from me to you. You can shoot me an email at Brandi, B-R-A-N-D-I, at the-powerproject.com. Can't wait to chat with you guys next week.